Welcome to the Finance Fight Club YouTube channel. I am your host, Natalie Cook, CEO and owner of Finance Fight Club. Today, we're going to talk about something that all business owners think about at the end of the year, and that is, what can I spend money on to save on taxes? And that's silly, because here's the deal. If you saw clickbait, I just saw this on Instagram that Elon Musk buys a jet and it saves him millions of dollars on taxes. Yeah, but you still have to buy the jet and you're still paying for the jet. And billionaires have teams and teams and teams of people to play around with tax law and read all of it and file it. And trust me, they get investigated a lot. So if you have $1 billion, this channel is not for you. But if you do have $1 billion and you like this channel, please share it because that'd be helpful. Yeah, we're not billionaires. I'm not a billionaire. You're probably not a billionaire if you're watching this. And even a multimillionaire, they have lots of tax people. So if you think, oh man, I can just go do these things to save on taxes, let me do some math for you and talk you out of it. I was doing my taxes several years ago and you close your ears. I did it on TurboTax. You didn't know, no tax advisor heard me say that right now. But I was like playing around with, okay, what if I maxed out my IRA? What would it save me? It was like $200, guys. It wasn't a lot. I like put it in, pulled it out, put it in, put it out. I was like, what would it happen? Do it. And maybe it was a little bit more than that. But if you think about, okay, I'm going to go purchase a thing to save on taxes. What are you really saving? You're not really saving anything because you still had to buy the thing. I'm not a tax expert. This is not tax advice. Go talk to your um, certified public accountants and your enrolled agents on what you should do for your taxes. But let me talk about it as a CFO who sees people kind of scramble at the end of the year. Let's buy this stuff when we don't need it. And we advise clients like, hey, if you are going to buy a piece of equipment, let's say you're a gym and you need new equipment and you're sitting on an extra $10,000 in December and you need it in January, go buy it in December before the 31st. Great. That saves you a couple $100. Fabulous. I have no problem with that. And that's what we kind of tell our clients. Like if it's already in the budget, pull it up at the end of the year. That's okay. But if it's not in the budget and you don't have cash for it, then don't scramble because you're actually going to spend a lot more money and time trying to offset your taxes. We're not talking large amounts of sophistication. Like that is for the tax advisors. When you get to a certain point, then you get to go play around with that. And I even really hate the let's hire your kids business, because the reality is that is helpful if you have the cash for it, but you see these people who have heard one thing, oh, I should hire my kids, but it's actually not worth it. So, okay, before I get into the kid thing, because I could go on a tangent, I actually did a bunch of research on that. Let's just talk about you. It's the middle of December or middle of November today. What are you going to do in the next 6 weeks to offset your taxes for 2025 when you go file in April or whenever you file? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to have a budget. You're going to look, is there anything, am I going to end up with a chunk of cash at the end of the year? Do I need that money personally? So let's just use $10,000 because it's an easy round number. Let's just say we're forecasting out through December and you are going to end up on December 31st with $10,000 in your bank account. That is extra. Let's just say it's extra. Let's say you've already calculated January expenses, February, March, and you don't need to put it into your emergency fund in your business. You don't need to take it, you really do not need it in your business. What do you do? Now, there's a couple options. One is look out through 2026. What's coming up? What do you have to pay? Can you pay your business insurance early? Can you switch all of your software to annual because you've already done all of the due diligence like we do with our clients? And you know that you're going to use this tech stack for next year. You have a really robust annual plan. Can you spend that money in December? Are you going to give your employees a bonus with that money? Are you going to give yourself a bonus? Those are all things that you can think about and use that extra cash for before the end of the year. Now, of course, if you give yourself a bonus, you're paying taxes on it, but that's normal. Those are what you should be using it for. Let's say, I want to remodel my office. I'm not a CPA or I'm not giving you tax advice. You can talk to them on whether that is an office expense or not. Let's say I'm not renting my office from my house. Yes, you can absolutely hey, we're going to buy new furniture for the office. I need a new computer. I need a new monitor. Buy those things before December 31st or on December 31st as a nice little New Year's present. As long as the cash is taken out of your account and you're doing cash-based accounting, even if you're doing accrual, you can accrue it for that year. So think about those things. That's the right way to think about how you can offset your taxes. Here's the wrong way. Do you need an $80,000 truck? No. Do you have $80,000 to spend on a truck? If you have $10,000 left over, no, don't go buy a truck. If your business needs trucks to perform its business activity, like you are a junk removal company and you have money saved up to buy a junk removal truck, go purchase your truck before December 31st. If you don't do it. Now, I'm not going to get into in detail on like, well, what if you're going to finance it and all of that savings and blah, 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 blah. That's where you get stuck. If you need the equipment and it is December and you are planning on buying it in January or March and you have the extra cash, buy it early. That's the only tax advice that I will sign off on. Now let's talk about other, I'm not going to use swear words, things that people do that is just silly with taxes. One of those is putting your kids on payroll when they aren't doing any stuff in the business. So you can offset that. And again, not a tax advisor, but people start to think about these things to the end of the year. So I just want to get ahead of it. If you are going to do that, make sure they're actually doing work for your business. So I looked into this when my daughter was 6 in Washington State. I feel like someone's about to come into my office. We're going to cut that part out. But anyway, I looked into this when my daughter was 6 years old, and in Washington State, there's quite a bit of hoops to jump through to put your kids on payroll. You can't pay them more than minimum wage. You can pay them less than minimum wage, which is nice and helpful. If you actually are going to hire a 16-year-old in your business, you can pay them less than minimum wage, which is interesting because minimum wage here is really high. They have to have Superior Court Justice approval, I think, in order to work, which is just a paperwork thing that you submit and it gets signed. You have to have school approval. So your school actually has to sign off on it. You have to have parental approval. So if I want to hire a minor, if I'm the parent, I'm the parental approval person, but let's just say I want to hire a 16-year-old, I have to have parental approval. If they can only work certain hours, like it's not even a max per week. It's like, hey, you can work 2 hours a day per school day or 2 hours on a Saturday, and then up to 6 hours a week, I think. Again, don't quote me on that. You'd have to do your research, and this was 2 years ago. So even if I wanted to hire my 6-year-old, I think I did the math that I would have to pay. I would only be allowed to pay her like $128 a month or something like that. I didn't do the calculations prior to this video. That would be the max that I could pay her, right? Because I couldn't just make up a number. Like in order for it to make sense for my business, I would have had to pay her like $250 an hour because she can only work 6 hours a week to offset it and to put it away in savings. You can't get to that $14,000 a year mark by doing it legally in Washington State. And I think if I remember correctly, it was like the max I could pay her with the payments of paying her like 70% of minimum wage. It was like $128. But I would have had to put her on a W-2 payroll, run all of Social Security and everything. So she would get maybe $100. I don't remember the math. And I would be paying an extra like $60 to put her on payroll. So it made 0 sense for my business. And that's just the type of thing that I want you to think about when you think about these tax deductions. Is like, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze? Sometimes it is if you're making a ton of cash, if you have adult children working for you, or not adult children, but like teenagers and all these things, then yeah, sure. But they actually still have to do work. Like you can't just hire people through your business and not have them do work. So takeaway today is before you listen to tax advice that sounds amazing and, oh, I'm going to offset all these taxes, is the only way to pay 0 taxes is to make $0. So if you want to pay 0 taxes, make $0, live in the forest. And even then you still have property taxes. You can't run away from taxes. So embrace the taxes, try to pay as little as possible, but you still have to legally pay taxes. The second thing is before you go down a path of this crazy tactic, do the math. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is it worth setting up all of these systems and operating all these systems to save a couple $1,000s in tax? Like, do the actual calculation. Do it with a tax advisor, not me, but that's the takeaway today. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment. And thanks for coming and joining our show.